from the shotgun, has time, throws over the middle, ball is tipped in the air and intercepted. Mark McMillan to the 30, lost the football. It's out of bounds at the 35-yard line, but it'll be Redskins football.
Twice the Miami Dolphins have driven down inside Washington territory, 2 turnovers.
Mark McMillan with his second interception of the season, and that blunts the Miami drive. We're scoreless. A jubilant Eric McMillan on the Washington Redskins bench claimed the second turnover of the day for the Redskins, and Brad Johnson brings the Redskins on for his second series of the day. And we welcome those of you who have joined us here at FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. Greg Gumbel along with Phil Simms and Armen Keteyian. And on first down, Skip Hicks playing for the injured Stephen Davis. Lost the football. And the Redskins have recovered. On the football is center Corey Raymer. Let's take a look at the offensive line for the Redskins. Up front, Heck, Simms, Corey Raymer, Trey Johnson, the Pro Bowler, and John Jansen, the fine rookie tackle. Skip Hicks starting for Stephen Davis and Larry Centers. Michael Westbrook, Irving Fryer, and Stephen Alexander, the tight end. There's Larry Centers, 45. Close to midfield before he's brought down, but that'll be enough for a Washington first down. 13-yard pickup on the play. Here's a look at the Miami defense. Owens, Bowens, Gardner, and Taylor up front. The 3 linebackers, Derek Rogers, Zach Thomas, and Robert Jones. In the secondary, the cornerbacks are Surtain and Madison. Brock Marion and Sean Wooden are the safeties. On first down, Johnson to throw. Throws near side, complete, inside the 40, and Alexander up again, and now out of bounds inside the 35-yard line.
Greg, you look at this game today, the Washington Redskins, they can do everything. They can run it. They can throw the football outside or to the tight end. Stephen Alexander goes out. It's a blitz by Miami, one-on-one. And when you play one-on-one coverage against any of the receivers of the Washington Redskins, look out.
A look at the numbers on Stephen Alexander, and now a handoff straight ahead and close to the 30-yard line is Skip Hicks. On what's going on between the Oakland Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs as the playoff picture continues to take shape.
Pretty exciting day, all these games. People want to know what's going to happen. But when you look at this game, the Washington Redskins, they love to run the football, and they look at their passing game as a way to get big plays to score points, and that's what they do. The people at home, they missed one. The first play of the game, they did a pump and go.
Under the blitz, Hicks finds a little bit of running room, but is brought down at about the 33-yard line.
I was going to say, Greg, they had a little fake and go on the outside. Michael Westbrook went by Patrick Surtain. Brad Johnson missed the throw. The thrower would have been a touchdown.
Incidentally, with about 6 seconds to play in Kansas City and a play under review, the Kansas City Chiefs are hoping to attempt a game-winning field goal that would put them into the postseason.
This is something new for you. You're doing 2 games at once. I like that. You are talented.
We all know how much trouble I have with one at a time. Quick pass on the slant into Michael Westbrook, and that is incomplete. The pass broken up on the near side. And it'll be 4th down.
Well, Michael Westbrook, 6'3", 225-pound wide receiver. Tough to cover one-on-one, but Ray Hill that time did a fine job for the Miami Dolphins.
So on to attempt the field goal now is number 5, Brett Conway. Has a long of 51 this season, and this will be a 51-yard attempt. Doesn't appear to be much of a breeze right now down on the field, and this is going to be short. So that stops the clock with a minute 33 to play here in the first quarter. The Redskins and Dolphins are still scoreless, and we'll be right back.
CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. Ameritrade, believe in yourself. And by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
So Dan Marino takes the field again. Has looked good here in the first quarter, although neither team has dented the scoreboard. And you look at the numbers on a Hall of Fame career. Although his productivity this year, the worst by comparison of any other year in his career. Rob Conrad in the backfield and is going to run the football. Gets a couple. Take a look at the offense that the Miami Dolphins have on the field today. It's Richmond Webb, Mark Dixon, Tim Ruddy, Kevin Donnelly, and James Brown from tackle to tackle. Autry Denson, the rookie, starts in the backfield with Stanley Pritchett. Gadsden and Tony Martin, the wide receivers, and Hunter Goodwin is the tight end. So far in this game, as you look at Jimmy Johnson, Miami with 87 total yards to Washington's 34. Throws it out here for Conrad. Conrad, 45, out of bounds at about the 48-yard line. Knocked out of bounds by Sean Barber, and let's check in with Jim Nantz in New York for an update.
All right, last play of the game here, Greg. 45-yard field goal try. Stoyanovich, if he makes it, it's Miami at Kansas City next week, but he hooks it wide. We're going to overtime, and Seattle is still alive. Oakland must win for the Seahawks to advance. Kansas City wins, and it will go to the playoffs. Wild story there. Let's go back to you in Washington.
All right, Jim, I think it's safe to say that absolutely nothing has gone by the book this season.
I want to know, are the Seattle Seahawks, are they sitting somewhere watching this game?
Ball bumped into the air, and Dan Marino bats it down. So that third down pass falls incomplete, and the Dolphins will kick it away.
Well, as you look at this game today, I know one thing. Jimmy Johnson said, I want to play, because the outcome, it did not matter to the Miami Dolphins. He just wants to play and get his team, get their confidence back. So that means have Dan Marino have some success, and he'd like to see, of course, the Miami defense play well to get its confidence going.
Tom Hutton's kick is a good one. Brian Mitchell lets it bounce inside the 5, and that's where it's down at the 2-yard line, maybe even the 1 by Ray Hill. Terrific punt, terrific coverage, and the Redskins will start their backs to their own end zone. Back at FedEx Field with 12 seconds to play here in the first quarter. Greg Gumbel, Phil Simms, and Armen Keteyian on this final Sunday of the regular season. Brad Johnson, 3 out of 6 for 30 yards. Washington has had the ball for just 4 minutes of this first quarter, and running it out of the backfield is Skip Hicks. And he'll get it out to about the 5-yard line, and with that time will run down here in the first quarter. We played 15 minutes here in Landover, Maryland. The Redskins nothing and the Dolphins nothing. Don't go away. Much more to come. Playoff picture to be completed. We'll be back in just a moment.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by NASDAQ, the stock market for a digital world, and by DirecTV. What are you looking at?
Back for the start of the second quarter, and Jason Taylor, defensive end for the Dolphins, is back in after missing some time on the field. Skip Hicks doesn't get much on the carry, and Jason Taylor is in on the stop. Taylor got into an altercation after a play earlier in the first quarter with Keith Sims. And then when he went to the sideline, Jimmy Johnson was less than happy with it.
Wow, Jimmy. That is emotional as I've ever seen Jimmy Johnson since I've been doing games. And there must be a little more something there than we know. I did not see what Jason Taylor did on the field to make Jimmy Johnson that upset. But you're right, Greg kept him out off the field. And I saw Jason Taylor go back up to the coach and talk to him, and he put him back in.
Meanwhile, that is number 88, James Jenkins, who is hobbled a bit and now walking off the field as the Redskins look at 3rd and 6. So far today, the Redskins are 0 for 2 on 3rd down, and let's check in with Armen. Armen.
Thanks, Greg. You know, what happened was when Jimmy came over, he went to the defensive line coach and basically did almost like a safe sign in baseball, which meant he was out, actually wanted Taylor out of the game. And as Phil said, it took Taylor's talking to Jimmy to get him back in. Back to you.
All right, Armen, that pass complete to Michael Westbrook and enough for a first down for the Redskins. Ray Hill made the stop, but not until a 12-yard pickup.
Well, you're backed up to your own goal line. You get third in a situation like that, and the Washington Redskins, what a luxury. They know they're going to get single coverage with Michael Westbrook. Greg, we talked about it. He's 6'3", 225. He's such a big target. No matter who covers him for the Miami Dolphins, it is a mismatch. Get him outside, throw the football to him, let him use his side.
On first down, the give to Hicks. First through the left side, across the 25, out across the 30, and now a late penalty flag is thrown. Brock Marion and Terrell Buckley on the stop. That's a 14-yard gain, and our referee today is Dick Hantak.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Miami defense, number 98, 15 yards, first down.
That's Antoine Simpson.
Well, a good job by the Redskins. They get Jason Taylor pinned inside. Sellers does that. Tackle down the field. Oh, and Antoine Simpson. Watch as he goes down the field. That is a 15-yard penalty, well called. When you lower your head and use it as an instrument to blow into the offensive guy, they are going to throw the flag.
Would you be willing to make the deduction from his paycheck right now, courtesy of the NFL?
Well, that's a good possibility.
Simpson on the sideline. First down for the Redskins from the 45-yard line. Play fake. Johnson on the run, throws far sideline, and is complete and close to a first down. Michael Westbrook, who is having his finest season for the first time in his 5-year career, 1,000 yards receiving.
Well, there's a couple things about that play. Watch Brad Johnson. We had a chance to talk to Norv Turner on Friday, and I said, what's the thing that surprised you most about Brad Johnson? He says, well, 6'5", he's a big, 230, 240-pound quarterback. His athletic ability, not that he's fast, but he moves around enough to buy himself that extra couple seconds and throws the football down the field to make those completions.
Hicks turns the corner, cuts it up across the 40 to the 37-yard line. That'll be another first down for the Redskins. Derek Rogers there for the tackle after a 9-yard gain.
Well, Jimmy Johnson talking to him, he says he knows one thing. Anytime you play against Norv Turner, they are going to pound the football at you. That means even if you stop their running game, it's not going to stop them. They're going to keep going after you, trying to win that battle up front. And so far, the Redskins winning that battle.
We'll look at Skip Hicks' numbers in for Stephen Davis, who was inactive with a sprained ankle last week, and that sprained ankle has earned him another week's rest here today. Straight ahead now is Brian Mitchell, and Mitchell close to the 30-yard line. And let's check in once again with Jim Nance in New York. Jim, you got results.
Yes, we do, and a big one. Joe Nedney from 33 yards for the Raiders in overtime puts Seattle in the playoffs. It'll be Miami at Seattle next weekend, wild card weekend. And let's go back to Greg and Phil. What a wild day in Kansas City.
All right, Jim, thank you. Boy, a jubilant John Gruden on the scene in Kansas City.
Well, it's a good way to finish the season for him. Kansas City Chiefs, you never would think it was going to be their offense.
Hicks stumbled as he got the handoff from Brad Johnson.
When you watch Kansas City, though, Greg, as I say, you always expect it to be about their defense, and their defense really faltered down the stretch.
So these Miami Dolphins will be headed to Seattle, and one of the questions we asked much earlier today, well, this will not be Dan Marino's last game. Not that it would have been otherwise necessarily. That's a decision that Dan told us yesterday he has yet to make. 33, the pitch for Mitchell. And Mitchell won't get the first down. So it'll be fourth down. Here's a look at the way the playoffs stand right now in the AFC. Miami will travel to Seattle. Buffalo will be at Tennessee, while the Colts and the Jaguars have earned first-round byes. And with Indianapolis losing today and Jacksonville winning, Jacksonville will have the home field advantage throughout the postseason in the AFC. 4th down and about a yard, and North Turner has decided to go for it. Hicks and Sellers are in the backfield on a double tight end setup, and he didn't get there.
Well, right away, they had to rush themselves up the line of scrimmage. Brad Johnson had to snap the ball. He only had about 5 seconds to get the playoff. Not a way to execute. And then Miami just beats them to the punch. They get across the line of scrimmage before the Washington Redskins can fire off. No chance to pick up the 4th down.
So the ball goes over to Dan Marino and company on 4th down with 9:58 to play here in the first half.
Well, Jimmy Johnson says my defense needs some confidence, and stopping the Washington Redskins there, that ought to give them a little confidence coming through in a big spot.
So Marino, who had a pass tipped and intercepted in the first quarter, goes back to work. Autry Denson, the lone back behind him. Denson gets the handoff. And no room to run off right guard. Derek Smith, Sean Barber with the stop.
Well, Greg, now that the Miami Dolphins know they're going to be in the playoff, the scenario surrounding Dan Marino, we thought, knowing if they were going to make the playoffs, that Dan Marino would play today, and that somewhere along the line, Jimmy Johnson would get Damon Heward into the game, get him some experience in case he needs him next week in the playoffs.
Look at the numbers so far of 2nd and 10. The fake to Denson. Marino throws to Denson out of the backfield. Across the 35 and close to a 1st down before Darrell Green makes the stop after a 9-yard gain.
And you want to get some confidence as a quarterback or in your offense. I think this is a good opportunity to do it because they do not pressure the quarterback real well, the Washington Redskins. So Dan Marino should have time to go back, make his decisions down the field, not be pressured, and should throw the football pretty accurately.
Moving up on 8.5 minutes to play. 3rd and 1. And the Dolphins 0 for 3 on 3rd down so far today. Denson has the 1st down and more across the 40 out to the 44-yard line. That's enough for a 1st down, and we welcome those of you who've been watching that game between the Oakland Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs. Oakland booting the Chiefs out of the playoffs 41-38 in overtime. Greg Gumbel along with Phil Simms and Armen Keteyian from FedEx Field. Jimmy Johnson and the Miami Dolphins find themselves a playoff team. But they're scoreless here against the Redskins so far today. Denson. Denson is wrapped up just as he reaches the line of scrimmage by big Dan Wilkinson.
Well, the Washington Redskins, Greg, talking to North Turner again on Friday, he did say he thought they messed up well against this Miami offense. He thought they could hang in there, stop the run, that the defensive line, he says the one problem we have on defense when it comes to stopping the running game is quick offensive linemen and real quick running backs. Well, Miami really doesn't possess either one of them, even though Autry Denson, a little smaller, relies on his quickness to get around people.
He also told us he expected a low-scoring game today.
Yes.
I don't think it can get much lower than this. 2nd and 10. Marino. That's incomplete at midfield. Keteyian Green is intended receiver. It'll be 3rd down.
Well, it's been not picking up a 4th down. Brad Johnson missing an open touchdown the first play of the game. Miami 2 turnovers. We could have quite a bit of scoring.
Troy Drayton is not available to the Dolphins today. Had surgery on his right knee a couple of weeks ago. Nor is O.J. McDuffie sidelined with the sprained left big toe. 4 wide receivers on 3rd down. Marino throws. It is incomplete and almost intercepted by number 25, Tim Denton. In fact, Arande Gadsden with a good job of breaking that up.
Well, it's a good job by Dan Marino finding the guy on the outside. It's one-on-one. But look at the job by Denton, playing the route all the way, plays to the inside, and Armen gets, and you're right, Greg, stops the interception.
So Tom Hutton gets set to kick to Brian Mitchell. And another good kick by Hutton as Mitchell returned this one from the 10. Out to the 20. And that's about as far as he gets before he is stopped, and so is the clock with 6:55 to play in a scoreless first half. Greg Gumbel, Phil Simms back at FedEx Field. Happy New Year to you and yours from Phil and myself. And the Miami Dolphins took the field today knowing that they had no control over whether or not they would make the playoffs or not. You ever play in a situation like that?
You know, I did once in 1984. We played the last game of the season against the New Orleans Saints. It didn't matter. We didn't play well. We lost. And you know what? The coaches chewed our rear ends out come that following Monday. So you always play for something when you come out here. The athletes, professional athletes, are competitive. You want to win. So once they get out there, the situations start arising. They'll forget that they're not playing for anything today, and they'll play hard.
Skip Hicks running hard off the left side across the 25 before he's stopped by Sean Wooden.
Well, the Washington Redskins, they have found something to their left side, Miami's right side, and they are picking on Jason Taylor. Look what happens. Larry Centers just pins him inside. Nobody outside for Miami to stop the run, and Skip Hicks picks up 5 yards.
So on 2nd and 5. Here comes the blitz. Johnson eludes, throws, complete, Westbrook. And Westbrook out close to a first down. Interesting conversation we had with Michael Westbrook on Friday as well. We mentioned that this was his best year, and he said there should have been more of those 1,000 yards. But, you know, he's a little upset at the injuries that he's had, and not only the injuries, which have kept him from attaining those things which he felt he should, but he's received his fair amount of criticism along the way for it as well.
Well, you always do. You come in, everybody expected such great things from him. The injuries, there's nothing he can do about that. But Greg, I found he was upset. He wants to see more passes thrown his way, even though they're winning.
That pass over the middle to Steven Alexander, and Alexander out of bounds at midfield for a first down.
And that's why you don't. That's why you don't see Michael Westbrook catching 100 footballs, because the Redskins, the system, it's about spreading things around. And Steven Alexander, look, he's matched up. Sean Wooden can't run with him. Finds the open space in the defense. The Redskins, they spread it to the running backs. They can run the ball, and they can throw it to many receivers. So it's hard for Michael Westbrook to dominate when it comes to that pass completion catches.
Brad Johnson over 4,000 yards throwing on the season. On the double tight end, set up, play fake to Hicks. Pump fake, and now Johnson going deep down the sideline for Westbrook. It is incomplete, and penalty markers all over the place.
Well, when they come and mark the spot, you know it's against the defense. And Patrick Surtain, he was in good position.
Pass interference. Defense, number 23. First down.
Well, let's watch what happens. He's in good position. It's another pump by the Redskins. They love it. The out and up. Boy, Patrick Surtain, he's caught. Oh, he cuts right in front of the receiver. Anytime you put the arm out or run in front of them, impede the progress of the wide receiver, they are going to throw that flag. Good call.
It is amazing that Patrick Surtain was turned completely around and still was down there in the vicinity of the receiver.
I think he was surprised too. Really, he had time to make the play. You didn't realize it.
On 1st and goal, Skip Hicks, left side touchdown.
Well, that's not supposed to be the strong side of the offensive line for the Washington Redskins, but Andy Hicks, 64, pulling around, does a good job. Michael Westbrook goes inside and gets a block, and Skip Hicks runs in the end zone untouched.
A Miami defense that had been the best in the NFL at allowing the fewest touchdowns per visit to the red zone. Skip Hicks just bolted in from 8 yards out. Conway's kick is good. And so with 2:51 to play here in the first half. Skip Hicks and his teammates celebrate a 7-0 Washington lead. Highlights and a complete playoff picture coming up on the NASDAQ halftime report. Jim Nance, Craig James, Randy Cross, and Jerry Glanville will have all that for you. That's on the NASDAQ halftime report. Brock Marion deep for the Miami Dolphins. Short kick, he'll take it at the 10. 25, across the 30 and out to the 32-yard line. And that'll stop the clock with 4:42 to play. There is work to be done for the Miami Dolphins. They are down 7. FedEx Field, and let's check in with Armen Keteyian. Armen.
Thanks, Greg. To be sure, this 7-0 deficit is definitely going to test the already fragile confidence of this football team. Zach Thomas told us yesterday his preparation and motivation had been contaminated by this most recent losing streak. He told me before the game, he said, we have got to win this football game. We do not want to go into the playoffs with another loss on our back. Back to you.
All right, Armen. Yeah, you're right. Zach Thomas was a determined young man when we talked to him last night. He said at 7-1, we were feeling pretty good about ourselves, and motivation and confidence have definitely become a problem.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk to Zach, too. He said to me, man, I'm just tired. You know, this losing really wears you out. And it is. You know, when you lose, a lot of things wear you down. When you win, you always look at the good things that are causing you to win.
Penalty markers and movement. Hunter Goodwin, the tight end, number 83, appeared to move early.
False start. Offense, number 83, simulating the start of a play. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Dolphins have already been hit with 61 yards worth of penalties.
Well, won the long pass interference, led to the score for the Washington Redskins. But, Greg, you're right. I never thought I would sit here this year and say it. The Dolphins, they need confidence. The defense, Dan Marino, the quarterback.
Denson, right side, 40, 45, and out of bounds at about the 47 or 48-yard line. Here's a confidence builder.
Well, it is. Autry Denson showing some speed and quickness. But again, good blocking by the Miami offensive line. Donnelly, good job, gets out, seals it, then Autry Denson takes advantage of it.
5 possessions in this game so far for the Miami Dolphins, and Dan Marino, the most prolific passer in football, has started all 5 of those possessions with a running play. From the 47. Fake to Denson this time. Marino time, throws, and has his man. Gadsden inside the 35, inside the 30 to the 27-yard line.
You know what's happening in this league? We always say this league is about copycats, and the Miami Dolphins, they play in a division with the Indianapolis Colts, and they go down the field this time. Everybody sails out. Good play action fake. The only 2 people that go out are the wide receivers. Oronde Gadsden was coming across the field. He stops and goes back out, and you can only do things like that off of play action where you have extra protection, let your quarterback have about 2 more seconds to throw the football, and lets the wide receivers get open.
26-yard pickup takes the Dolphins to the Washington 27-yard line. Denson, left side, across the 25 to about the 23. Dan Marino looked a little upset about something, threw his arms in the air.
Well, you know, sometimes as a quarterback, your view of what the running back sees is very good. So when they don't pick the right hole, you're going, what's wrong with you? You know, so it's the same thing as the backup quarterback says to the starting quarterback, well, I saw so-and-so, he's wide open. I don't know how you didn't see it. So
you see how far Marino and the Dolphins need to go for a first down. To the 17-yard line. From the shotgun. Marino throws over the middle. Incomplete. Intended for Uteal Green at the 8-yard line.
Well, I've done quite a few Miami Dolphin games this year, and this offense looks a little more creative and wide open than I've seen in quite a while, too. Kippy Brown, the offensive coordinator, I said to Jimmy Johnson, I thought, well, you're in a losing streak. Maybe they would go back to the formula that served them so well early in the year. Very conservative offense. Let their defense go out there and fight, keep the game low scoring, and see if you can win it late. Well, the defense is struggling, so now the offense has to come out and be aggressive.
Big third down play, and the Dolphins go with 4 wide receivers. And now whistles, and a timeout is called. 2:39 to play here in the second quarter. We'll be right back.
On CBS is sponsored by the United States Army Reserve. Be all you can be. 989 Sports, made by the pros, played by the pros, and by Acura. Cars are our passion, engineering is our art.
Talk about a Y2K glitch. It was up in the 60s here in Washington, D.C. today. How can that be in January?
Are you complaining?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I know you're relieved that that computer bug didn't hit you.
That I am, my man.
Miami 1 out of 5 on third down. They go with 5 wide receivers. Marino going to go for the end zone. Yatil Green incomplete. Just overthrew it.
Well, they got the matchup they want. Yatil Green has great speed on the outside. Dan Marino about 1 yard too far for him to catch it. Champ Bailey on the coverage.
By the time Champ Bailey had looked around, the ball was already by him. Olindo Mare with 140 points, the #1 scorer in the National Football League. This will be from 40 yards out. And that looks pretty good. Stopping the clock with 2:29 to play here in the first half. Mare gets the Dolphins on the board. Redskins with a 7-3 lead. A timeout, and then back to Landover, Maryland, right after this. Miami's 47-yard drive capped by Olindo Mare's field goal, which is officially 39 yards. And Mare now kicks off to Brian Mitchell and James Thrash. This is Mitchell. 25. And hit hard as he reaches the 30-yard line. We're still 20 seconds shy of the 2-minute warning, and we'll take another timeout.
CBS is sponsored by Web TV. Visit us at www.webtv.com and by Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
We welcome you back to the home of the Redskins with 2 minutes, 20 seconds to play here in the first half, and Washington with a 7-3 lead on the Miami Dolphins. He's stereo equipped. Little TV action.
Yeah, he wants to see you. Oh, there's
now he sees me. Hey, look at me.
That'll wake you up.
Brad Johnson, a handoff to Brian Mitchell. Mitchell with running room across the 35 to the 38-yard line. And that will probably take us to the 2-minute warning. Redskins have all 3 of their timeouts remaining, and Miami has 2. And not one will be exercised here. 2 minutes to play in the first half. 7-3 Redskins. Coming up on the NASDAQ halftime report, Jim Nance, Craig James, Randy Cross, Jerry Glanville with all the scores and highlights and the complete playoff picture. That's coming up on the NASDAQ halftime report. 2 minutes to play here in the first half. And Brad Johnson has all 3 timeouts remaining. He has a second down. The pitch to Mitchell. Can't get outside. It was brought down by Zach Thomas.
Boy, Zach Thomas showing his speed that time. Sees the play. I think when you run the ball outside, Zach Thomas, that's where he's his best. Because he can diagnose the play, find a lane to run in where nobody can block him, and chase the play down.
He was moderately upset that he didn't win the truck, Phil.
Was he?
From the all-iron team.
Oh. Well, he was definitely considered.
Brad Johnson. And that one comes up short. All the pressure inside on Brad Johnson. The pass falls short of Irving Fryer, the intended receiver.
Well, the pocket just collapsed around Brad Johnson. And when that happens to a quarterback, they're not sure if what they see is right or not. So it makes them a little careful with the throw. And that time Brad Johnson comes up short.
So on 4th down, Matt Turk, the 5th-year punter out of Wisconsin Whitewater, Nate Jackett, Terrell Buckley deep. Fair catch called for and made at the 19-yard line by Terrell Buckley. 1:18 to play here in the first half, and we remind you, want to go to the games, you can be there. Playoff tickets are available online through NFL.com. As they change, and you see Dan Marino coming on. I was talking to Jimmy Johnson yesterday, Phil. He had a pretty comment that pretty much said it all. He said, we're not a bad team, but we're not as good as I wanted us to be.
Well, I think when the season started, Jimmy Johnson looked at his defense and says, we got a chance to be dominant. Then you look at the offense. He drafted the running backs, 2 of them in the draft this past year. They're both out. Bring in Tony Martin. He thought, that's it. I got enough skilled people. I got a defense. We got enough to win. Well, it started out really well, but it just hasn't finished off.
Conrad out of the backfield, hits for the sideline and gets out of bounds at about the 23-yard line. Clock stopped with 1:13 to play in the first half.
And Greg, as I look at the team and we sit up here, the Dolphin offense, it shows that it can move the football down the field again today. They move it down there. They don't make the critical plays too many times. They turn it over. But the biggest surprise about the Miami Dolphins team is the defense is just kind of falling apart here late in the year.
Marino 9 of 15 now for 90 yards and the interception. 2nd and 5. And this one he just throws away. Threw it in between 2 receivers. So Marino winding down here on a first half, and Jimmy Johnson, unless he has changed his mind, we figure he'll come back in the second half with Damon Heward as his quarterback.
Yeah, maybe not the start of it, but somewhere in the second half, I think he's going to play Damon Heward and get him ready in case he needs it for the playoffs next week up in Seattle.
There's Damon Heward. Miami just 1 out of 6 on 3rd down. Looking at a 3rd and 5 here. Quick slant, complete. Gadsden first down and a little bit more to the 34.
Wow, good job by Dan Marino and Oronde Gadsden. Blitzed by the Washington's defense, picked up, looked like a good blitz. I said that's going to be enough to get to the quarterback. Marino saw it, so did Gadsden. He got rid of it and got the first down.
Clock continues to move, coming up on 45 seconds to play in the first half from the shotgun. Marino throws, and a diving catch made by Stanley Pritchett. And that'll be a pickup of a couple.
Well, that's a dangerous throw there. Running to your right, Dan Marino, throwing it across your body to the left, but he saw Stanley Pritchett, makes a nice catch.
So the Dolphins use a timeout, and they have 1 left with 34 seconds to play.
You know, you look at this Washington defense, so Greg, it's had another good first half. Last week, you know, talking to Norv Turner, and when you talk about this Washington team, always the thing that comes up, the defense. It's not as good as we thought it would be. Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator, they've had a string of games where they've played solid. And really, that's all you have to do if you're the Redskins, if you're playing defense. Just be solid, because you know that the Redskin offense is going to come out, move the ball, and score some points.
And that last catch is being reviewed as it is automatically in the final 2 minutes of the first half. And while they're doing that, Phil, you know, you talk about that Washington offense. You know, we've talked and made reference over and over to the triplets that the Dallas Cowboys had. As you take another look at the play with Aikman and Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith, and this year in Indianapolis, the threesome here in Washington is not bad at all. And Brad Johnson, Michael Westbrook, and Stephen Davis.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty solid. And just, Greg, just go over that review. I think they're going to rule that was incomplete. And what that should do then, it should give Miami a timeout back, because they would not have called timeout if it was incomplete. You got me?
I got you.
All right, just want to make sure you understand.
Starting the new year off right. I'm agreeing with everything you say.
Good, good. Could you talk to my wife? I've been trying to explain it to her for 20 years. She just can't quite get it. But it's interesting. We haven't had a chance to see the Redskins all year long, and our assumption is the defense is good. What it is, and the offense. When you come and watch the offense, it is terrific in design and execution.
Here's Dick Hantak's ruling.
After reviewing the play, the ball touched the ground. The pass is ruled incompletion. Second down, previous spot.
And Jimmy Johnson wants that timeout back.
That's exactly what he said.
Well, Dick Hantak walks back out to midfield. And Jimmy Johnson is asking.
No, and Dick Hantak saying you don't get it back. Well, I learned something there. There's nothing they can do about that. Here comes the play. Watch. He gets his arms underneath it, and you think it's a catch. But as he rolls over, the nose of the football, when it hits the ground like that, no matter if your hands are underneath it, when that football hits, incomplete.
That begs the question then, if they finally decided to review it and then it's ruled incomplete, would they roll the clock back to the moment that ball touched the ground?
No.
Second and 10. Marino dancing, the ball tipped, and it falls incomplete, intended for Conrad. Kennard Lang got a hand on the ball just as it came across the line of scrimmage.
Well, the quarterback, Dan Marino's had one pass picked off because it was hit by the defensive back and went up in the air. This time, hit by Kennard Lang. And I'll tell you, as a quarterback, when it goes up in the air like that, you think, oh, it's going to be intercepted. And the Dolphins, Greg, just to clarify the point, do not get their timeout back because they called timeout before the review started, so they lose that timeout.
They need the 44-yard line for the first down. Marino over the middle. Conrad to the 40. First down yardage, midfield and out of bounds. Into Washington territory. Stops the clock with 19 seconds to play in the half. That's an 18-yard pickup.
Nice job by Dan Marino. Nobody open down the field. Throw the football underneath. Watch Conrad. Here he comes down the backfield. He looks down the field. Nobody open. Now, a nice stiff arm. Looks pretty good. We were thinking we might see Rob Conrad. He would spell Autry Denson, see what he looks like in a tailback position today. And you can see for a big fullback, has the moves and the feet to maybe play some halfback too.
The rookie is the second-round draft pick out of Syracuse. Marino going to go for it all, and nobody there but Redskins. Number 88, Nick Jacquette, was the nearest Dolphin receiver. Questions about whether or not the Redskins want this game. Norv Turner told us the other day, I want to win the ball game.
Of course he does, for a lot of reasons. Just to keep his team in a good frame of mind. And if you win the game, usually that means you've played pretty well. So that's what you always want as a football coach.
Eighth play of this drive. Second and 10. Pass batted up in the air again, falls incomplete. Although I'd like to make this point, Phil, you say this business about you want to play well going into the playoffs, there's a little bit of hogwash to that. It's not absolutely necessary.
Yeah, you know what? Football games, every game is like a new season. No matter what you did the week before, when you come out and you play, how you get started, how you make plays that week really determines how it goes. People do not have to be on a roll going into the playoffs to continue to play well and win. That's just not the truth. I played on teams where we stunk it up the last few games of the year. One of them in 1990, we went on to win the Super Bowl.
Lobbing it up. Teal Green goes up high, comes down with it. Incomplete. Ruled incomplete at the 5-yard line as time expires in the first half. Boy, Teal Green gave it the old yeoman-like effort.
Champ Bailey gets his hand in there and knocks it out. Otherwise, Teal Green is going to make the catch.
You know, it didn't hit the ground until a few seconds after the play was blown dead. Let's go down to Armen Keteyian.
Coach, your thoughts on the offense, particularly Dan's play, and how long might we see him in the second half?
Well, we're going to play Damon some of the second half, but I was happy with some of the young guys that we are playing. Audrey Denson ran the ball well. The offensive line's blocking well. We're protecting him, and then, of course, we're blocking for the run better than what we've been doing.
All right, Coach. Thanks a lot, Greg.
All right, Armen, our halftime score, Washington 7, Miami 3. Coming up, Jim Nance in New York for the NASDAQ halftime report. They'll all get you caught up on the NFL playoff news, scores, and highlights after these messages from your local station.
This is CBS 4 News Now.
Good afternoon, I'm Ken Rosado. Here's what we're working on for CBS 4 News tonight at 11. Dozens of protesters angry about the possibility of 400 Haitian and Dominican refugees being returned to their respective homelands come out in force today, hoping to put pressure on officials. Also, passengers who were supposed to be on a Millennium cruise are telling horror stories after their ship had some major problems. We'll hear what happened and why some are now planning to sue. And we talk one-on-one with a Vietnamese-American pilot who flew over Cuba New Year's Day, dropping anti-communist pamphlets on Havana. He took off from Tamiami Airport, heading for Key West. Then it was off to Cuba. When he entered Cuban airspace, 2 MiGs were dispatched to follow him. We'll tell you why he did it tonight. Plus, we'll have full coverage of the Dolphins game, along with the Heat's first night in the new arena. Please join us for those stories and much more when Ileana Barella joins me for CBS 4 News tonight at 11. See you then.
Are being settled here on this final Sunday of the regular season. Welcome to the NASDAQ halftime report. Jim Nance with you from our NFL Today studios, along with Craig, Randy, and Jerry. And guys, let's take a look at it here. At halftime, the Redskins leading over Miami 7-3. But again, the Dolphins are in and will play at Seattle next week. Buffalo at Tennessee also in wild card action. Jacksonville today clinched home field throughout the AFC playoffs. Now, other action, Tennessee up big over Pittsburgh, and they're already pulling out of the game McNair and Eddie George, saving them for the playoffs. Meanwhile, San Diego, Jermaine Fazand is the man, 113 yards and a touchdown. Chargers leading it mile high. Cowboys make the playoffs with a win, and Aikman a strong first half, including a touchdown pass to the Rocket. Now, on the NFC side, if Dallas wins that game, it'll be Detroit at Washington next week, and the Cowboys at Minnesota. Remember, they met on a Monday night earlier this year. Vikings won by 10. But if the Giants come back to win, it'll be Green Bay at Washington and Detroit at Minnesota. Now, earlier today, the Colts' 11-game win streak came to a close. The Bills ride into the playoffs off a big win today, Craig. Man, it's a Rice. He's got a playoff game next week at Tennessee. Jags win the Central without Mark Brunell.
Well, they won it with their defense that really stifled Cincinnati, and Jay Fiedler made Tom Coughlin feel a lot better about his backup quarterback position with his performance today.
And for just a moment, it looked like Seattle would be out of the playoffs, losing for the 5th time in 6 games. The Jets close out with 7 of their last 9 games being victories. What a job by Parcells.
I think this was the best year he coached. It wasn't about our record. We didn't win in most games. We didn't go to the Super Bowl nor the playoffs. But this was the best year since I've been around Bill Parcells that he's coached.
Seattle was saved because the Raiders came back from 17 down. Just stunned the Chiefs. What a heartbreaker for Gunther Cunningham. Could have won at the end of regulation. Stojanovic hooked it from 45 yards on to overtime.
38-38 time. True snap. Aragoose put the placement down, and Joe Nedney's going to hit it right down the middle. And the Oakland Raiders have ended the Chiefs season with a 41-38 overtime victory in front of a stunned crowd at Arrowhead Stadium.
Raiders knock out the Chiefs. Seahawks are in. Patriots close with a win. Both teams here 8-8 on the year. The Bucs clinch the Central Division of the NFC and a first-round bye.
But the bad news, their star offensive tackle Paul Gruber, broken leg, out for the playoffs. That's bad news.
And how about Detroit into the playoffs with 4 straight losses, and Charlie Batch may not be available next week. He re-injured his thumb.
As long as they're playing and scoring like they are, it kind of reminds me of last season on offense. Randy Moss, Jeff George, they're hooking up. Defense is getting a little bit better at stopping the run and getting to the quarterback. And I thought this was a class act. This is what Randy Moss in the NFL needs more. Gets a kid a ball at the end of the touchdown. Nice job, Randy.
Minnesota will host a playoff game next week. Green Bay needs a big comeback in the second half from the Giants. Meanwhile, the Eagles beat the Rams today. Again, the Rams rested a lot of their starters, too.
They took their starters out in the 4th quarter, but you got to really give credit to the Eagles. They played hard all day.
And Carolina got 5 touchdown passes from Steve Berline, but they lost out on that point differential tiebreaker with Green Bay, so their hopes are dashed at 8-8. They ended up down 11, if you will, and the margin difference with Green Bay. Thanks for being with us on the NASDAQ Halftime Report.
CBS Sports presentation of the NASDAQ Halftime Report is sponsored by the NASDAQ Stock Market.
Dolphins, the spotlight as usual on Dan Marino. 118 yards throwing and a touchdown possibly blunted by that interception. Norv Turner got a touchdown from his guys and lead at 7-3. Back after a word from your local station. Welcome back, everyone. Greg Gumbel along with Phil Simms. Both these teams now playoff bound, and I guess the ultimate philosophy is it doesn't matter how you get there as long as you get there.
Hey, you get there because you deserve to get there. You know, there's no backing in the playoffs, none of those things. You play a long season in the NFL. When it's done, you take the teams that deserve it, and both these teams deserve it.
Okay, Rodney Peete, we are told, is going to start the second half for the Washington Redskins. We're likely to see Damon Huard here in the second half for Miami.
Yeah, both teams trying to do now. I think, Greg, it's almost like a preseason game for both of them. The one thing they're worried about, and you think about, you don't want to, is that, boy, I hope we don't lose one of our big players to injury in the second half. So if you get the opportunity, you can take them out of the game, you go ahead and do it.
From the 7-yard line, it's James Thrash. And Thrash across the 30 out to the 32 or the 33-yard line. Look at the halftime numbers. More yardage put up by the Miami Dolphins, but those 2 turnovers were critical.
I think we've heard that story before with the Dolphins. Turnovers always hurting. The thing that's misleading too, the total yards for the Redskins, they did have the long pass interference, led to their touchdown.
So Rodney Peete, in his 11th season out of Southern Cal, has no touchdown passes, but has thrown an interception so far this season. Starts the second half for the Redskins. And on the end around, coming this way is Thrash. Midfield, 45, 40, 35, and out of bounds at the 30-yard line.
When Rodney Peete comes in the game, Norv Turner says, we'll get you indoctrinated quick. Let him throw a block, but a nice call, defense. Jason Taylor over pursues, goes a little too flat down the line of scrimmage. Rodney Peete with the block against Daryl Gardner, and James Thrash showing that speed. Outruns everybody till Brock Marion comes along. But a reverse, always, I think, a good play to run against the Miami Dolphins. They rely on their speed, so that means wherever the ball goes, they chase it, they over pursue sometimes, the Redskins catch them.
And now Rodney Peete going to go for it all down the sidelines, has a man wide open, touchdown, Irving Fryer.
Well, Norv Turner said, look, if you want to score a lot of points, you got to take chances, you got to go down the field and try to make those big plays. And the Redskins, they do it as well as anybody in the National Football League. They like to go out, make moves, then take off down the field. Irving Fryer gets past Patrick Surtain, or Gerald Wilson, I'm sorry, for the touchdown.
30-yard pass for the touchdown. 2 big plays after the kickoff. Conway's extra point is good. Redskins celebration. Boy, we're just into the third quarter. Redskins are up 14-3. Irving Fryer's second touchdown this season is a 30-yarder. And the Redskins are up 14-3, 14:06 to play here in the third quarter.
A lot of times, you know, you see an older receiver, you say, well, maybe he's lost a little speed, but Irving Fryer, what he has is all the things that he's learned through his career, and he showed him on that last play. Nice move, gets him open deep.
Brock Marion is deep for the kick. Marion floating along the goal line, and he'll take it a yard deep. 15-20. Penalty marker flies as Marion gets out to about the 23-yard line. And this is going to back the Dolphins up even more. As Damon Huard comes onto the field.
Holding during the return, number 57, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Let's take a look at the touchdown. Here's Irving Fryer against number 24, Jerry Wilson. Watch the move on the outside. Man coverage. Makes a little out fake. Jerry Wilson stumbles, turns up the field, touchdown. The Washington Redskins, what Brad Johnson tells us, he says, the one thing we're going to do, we're going to have about 6 or 7 pump fakes in every game. So far today, we've seen 3, all 3 work.
Damon Heward now the handoff. And Autry Denson with a couple of yards. Well, Dan Marino on the sideline.
Well, let's take a look at the first half. Dan Marino, a couple of good throws in there. When he had time, defender gets his hand on it. Trouble. Had 3 passes knocked down by the defensive line.
So he, in all probability, is done for the rest of the day. Heward has time, throws, and that ball is dropped by Denson coming out of the backfield. That one just kind of started chest high and just trickled all the way down.
Well, I think, Damon Heward coming in the game, it does a couple things. It gets Dan Marino out, lets him get rested up for next week's playoff game in Seattle, but also it gives your backup quarterback a chance to get used to being in a live game, getting used to that rush, seeing the receivers run down the field, just in case you need for next week.
Heward looking at a 3rd and 6 now. And the Dolphins go with 4 wide receivers. Heward going to run it out of there. 20, looking for first down yardage, gets it up the sideline across the 30, out of bounds at the 32 or 33-yard line.
Well, the one thing we've seen watching Damon Heward this year, we saw when he came in and relieved Dan Marino against the New England Patriots in the 5th game of the year, and he did a lot of this. Dropping back, nothing there. He's going to take off and run with it. He's not that fast of a runner, but he just has a good sense of when to run. Knows where the first downs are. Picks up one there.
118 yards rushing on the season for Damon Heward. And a first down. Denson. And Denson to the 35.
Greg, there's speculation today. I even heard it on some of the stations before we came over to do this late game, is that Damon Heward, depending on how he could play, would determine how much he might play, or how he plays today might determine how much he plays next week against the Seattle Seahawks. And I don't know. If Dan Marino struggled next week, yes, I think we could see Damon Heward come in and relieve him.
Denson again to the 35. Well, I guess the primary question is whether you would consider Marino to have struggled today or not. He didn't appear to struggle. He threw the ball well most of the time. The one interception was on a tipped ball. On the negative side of it, he didn't get them into the end zone.
Yeah, there was some positives. I think the big thing is I look at the offense. The offensive line for Miami did a good job. Pass protecting and run blocking. Dan Marino, just an average day. Threw a couple balls that could have been intercepted. That'll be looked down upon as always when you're grading films. But when given the opportunity, did make the plays down the field.
35. Gadsden overthrown out of bounds, incomplete, and the Dolphins will have to kick.
Well, this Washington defense, so far today, only giving up 3 points, and so much talked about it. And Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator, they have been not outstanding, but solid over the last 5 weeks.
This one's going to bounce well short of Brian Mitchell, but take a Miami bounce across the 25, and it'll be down at the 22-yard line. And that'll stop the clock with 11:01 to play. 40-yard punt and no return. 14-3, Redskins lead.
On CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. Gateway, call Gateway and connect with us. And by Honda, a winning lineup of cars, sport utility vehicles, and minivans.
Welcome back to Landover, Maryland, and Norv Turner, who told us on Friday that he doesn't think that he'll ever take his hand away from that offense. He calls most, if not all, of the plays during a game and does a heck of a job as well. Skip Hicks, right side for a couple. And now let's check in with Armen Keteyian. Armen.
Thanks, Greg. Talked to Coach Turner, and he's really rather pleased with how well his team has played in what is really a meaningless game at this point in time. Obviously, Rodney Peete in for Brad Johnson, excuse me. Trey Johnson is out with a mild quadriceps strain, and Michael Westbrook is on the bench. Coach Turner said he'll get as many guys as he possibly can out of the game as soon as possible. Back to you.
Another fine report from the field from Armen Millennium. Thanks, Armen. On 2nd and 8, Rodney Peete to throw the screen for Larry Centers. And Centers brought down by number 52, Robert Jones.
See, Greg, you talked about it. Norv Turner said, I will always be involved. And if I own this Redskin team, I'd never let him get away from this offense either. Good designs. Here we go. He's thrown it down the field, run a reverse. And now Rodney Peete throw a little screen to Larry Centers, and well diversified, well thought out, and over the course of the year, very well executed by the Redskins offense.
How close can you get? 3rd and 4. Blitz, and Peete goes down. Patrick Surtain coming off the corner and was in on the quarterback in a hurry.
Well, Rodney Peete hadn't been in there for a while, so just like a preseason game, really, get in there, put pressure on the quarterback when he hadn't seen a lot of action. Hard to react to it. Good job by the Dolphins defense.
So Matt Turk set to kick it away. 88, Nate Jaquette, 27, Terrell Buckley deep. This is Turk's best kick of the night. From the 19, it's Jaquette. Trying to find some blocking across the 25 to about the 27-yard line. Eddie Mason in for the tackle that stops the clock with 9:11 to play in the 3rd quarter. Tonight on 60 Minutes, you don't have to root for the Jets or even be a football fan to love the guy who coaches them. Mike Wallace scrimmages with Bill Parcells tonight on 60 Minutes. Well, that love is a strong word in there, isn't it?
You know, that's just a word. If you play for him, it doesn't come out too often. But I'm sure it'll be interesting. Look forward to seeing it.
Eward, play fake. Throws over the middle. Rondé Gadsden across the 40 out to the 45-yard line, and that'll be a 1st down. You'd have to say Damon Eward throwing on rhythm here.
Well, that's what it is. Rondé Gadsden. Look at it. Outside technique by Champ Bailey. When you have outside technique as a corner, play action pass, you know you're not going to get any help by the linebackers because they're up there trying to stop the run. Creates a big hole in the middle. That's why it was so easy for Rondé Gadsden and Damon Eward.
So just like that, the Dolphins are out to their own 45. Another play fake. This one to the far side of the field. Yatil Green pulls it in, and that'll be enough for another Miami 1st down.
Well, Yatil Green, him coming back this year, or late in the year, just gives the Dolphins another weapon, another play action pass. Something I think the Miami Dolphins do very well. When they use that play action, even though it's not the sellout that a lot of teams use, they get receivers open down the field, and Damon Eward takes a pretty good lick right there.
From Ndukwe Kalu. 1st down. Now at the 42. Denson to the 40. You know, going back to Norv Turner and how much of an imprint he makes on the offense. We were talking with Jimmy Johnson last night. Jimmy says Norv should never remove himself from the offensive picture. He's too good at it. It's what he does.
That's what he is. You know, he made his mark in the league, started with the Rams, did a good job out there with Jim Everett in that offense, went to Dallas with Jimmy Johnson. They win some Super Bowls, and ever since he's been here, especially the last couple years, this offense does a good job of moving the football and being diversified.
Eward going to go deep for Yatil Green and overthrows everybody in the end zone. Well, certainly offense has not been the problem here. It's been the defense that's been the trouble for Norv Turner's Redskins. In fact, they've been kind of a Jekyll and Hyde, Phil.
Well, you're right. Look at that offense. The numbers are terrific. The defense, They are not good. But you watch them today, and you've watched them last week against San Francisco on Monday night. They really struggled, gave up a lot of big plays in the passing game. And then once that starts happening, the running game, your run defense kind of falls apart. And Mike Nolan, though, they got him in good position today. Another solid job, not giving up those big plays. That would be the #1 thing you'd like to see from Washington's defense.
With 5 wide receivers, Heward lost the football, and the Redskins have it. If Jimmy Johnson said it once, he said it 5 times last night. Turnovers and field position have killed us this year. Damon Heward was hit by Kennard Lang. Doug Brown fell on the loose ball.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Phillips, technology that's making life a little better all the time, and by KFC, wings and our new honey barbecue sandwich.
Redskins take over at their own 43-yard line. They lead 14-3 in Rodney Peete. Throws to the far side, has a man wide open. That is James Thrash, and that'll be enough for a first down. 16 yards to the Miami 40.
Well, Greg, we talked about it earlier. The Miami Dolphins showing a little bit of 2 receivers out, but the Washington Redskins watch Thrash up the top of the screen. Only 2 receivers released down the field. Rodney Peete sees the corner that is off. That's the one he attacks. That's why James Thrash is wide open.
Hicks doesn't get back to the line of scrimmage before Robert Jones makes the stop. Boy, the turnovers have not just killed the Miami Dolphins today, they've been killing them for the latter part of this season.
Well, you know, I'll just tell you this, I don't know one team you see 3-0. They beat up every team. 7th straight game with 2 or more. So that's the mistakes. That's what the game is about. When you make a lot of mistakes, it's hard to win.
Rodney Peete captured in the backfield by Patrick Surtain. It's the 2nd time Surtain has been in on the quarterback. And it'll be 3rd down.
I remember earlier in the year when this Dolphin defense was having such great success. Here comes Surtain off the front side, picked up by the Washington Redskins. Brian Mitchell doesn't stay with him, though. But when this defense had so much success early in the year, I thought it was more aggressive than it's been in the last few games. It blitzed more, it gave the offenses a lot of different looks. Lately, when you struggle, you have a tendency to be conservative, and that's not the thing to do in this league.
Peete throws, that pass incomplete, and that hit the defender in the back, and a penalty marker flies. It hit Surtain. The pass was intended for Thrash. And we have a penalty at the other end of the field as well. The officials say, no, we don't want a conference over there. We want to huddle over here.
Well, look, when you got this hat on,
that's the big one.
You can tell them to come wherever you want. See, that's the hat you wear up here.
Illegal formation. Offense. Number 76 was on the end of the line. Pass interference defense. Number 23. Those penalties are offset. Replay the down. 3rd down.
We'll do it again.
Well, 76 illegal formation. That means John Jansen, the right tackle. It's not his fault. No receiver outside of him lined up on the line of scrimmage.
So it's a 3rd and 15. Out of the shotgun with 4 wide receivers. Steps up, throws, far sideline. Thrash got a hand on it, but it falls incomplete. And so the Redskins will kick. Matt Turk, who got off a pretty good punt last time, will kick to Terrell Buckley, who has seen his role diminished in the last several weeks. Started the season as a starting cornerback. And now has been replaced today as the nickelback by Ray Hill.
Little movement by the Redskins punt team, but I do like what Jimmy Johnson did say about Terrell Buckley. I talked to him about him, and he said Terrell Buckley's been fine with it. He hasn't caused any problems in the locker room, supporting his teammates.
False start. Offense, number 66. Illegal snap. Double clutch the ball. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
Well, Dan Turk double clutched the snap to Matt Turk. When they talk in training camp for the Redskins about the Turk coming around, you don't know who they're talking about.
Well, that's right. The Turk being the guy that usually tells the players, bring your playbook, go see the coach.
Didn't know you actually had to have a Turk on your feet. The bounce, Buckley picks it up, trying to escape, and he's not going to get out of there. He's run out of bounds at the 3-yard line. Didn't exactly go according to the plan, did it? We want you to know you can get the most in-depth analysis on NFL matchups in the matchup breakdown. Plus, check out the complete playoff scenario. Just click on NFL at cbs.sportsline.com. Greg Gumbel, Phil Simms, Armen, Keteyian, and the rest of our ace CBS Sports crew wishing you and yours a Happy New Year.
Yeah, the Redskin fans getting into it. You know, they're getting ready for next week. Home playoff game. It's been a while since they've had one here. Well, I'll take that back. They've never had one in this stadium.
And they have the Miami Dolphins backed up inside their own 5-yard line. Conrad and Denson in the backfield behind Heward. Denson just barely got over the goal line.
From up here, it didn't look like he made it, Greg, but we didn't have a very good view. Let's watch Autry Denson, number 21. Oh, yeah, he gets out easily.
Doug Brown made the first hit, number 78.
And then Dukwe Kalu. Hey, I got it out.
Yes, you did.
I did it.
You make me so proud. 2nd down. Heward's going to try to throw it out of there. Oh, is he quick? Autry Denson out to the 10-yard line, and he'll be a couple of yards short of a 1st down. Autry Denson getting a little extended play due to the injury to J.J. Johnson has looked pretty good this afternoon.
Yeah, you said it right, Greg. He just looks quick. Once he catches the ball or takes the handoff, he gets up the field immediately.
140 yards of total offense from Autry Denson today.
J.J. Johnson comes back next week. If he does, I still think Autry Denson with this performance today will see a little playing time.
Heward, all kinds of time. Looking, throws over the middle, incomplete. Hunter Goodwin was his intended receiver, the tight end.
Good job by the Redskin defense. Anytime a quarterback gets out of the pocket and gets that much time to throw a football, and your defenders can stay with the change of direction by the offensive players, that is an outstanding job.
There is a penalty marker down close to the 50-yard line. And it looks like it's going to be against Washington. Talk to us, Dick.
I could not even see the flag.
Unsportsmanlike on the Washington bench, 15 yards. Obstruction with officiating, 15 yards. 1st down.
Well, I don't know. You know, sometimes now when that happens, there's a couple things. Players just get so involved and want to watch the play, they get in the way of the officials on the sideline.
And we hear from down on the field that the side judge had been warning the Redskins to back up. They did not. And at this particular moment, he chose to throw the flag.
Now, they threaten all the time, and they used to do that to us when I played, but very seldom do they throw it. What happens is he must have been backing up looking for a long pass, could have tripped and fell, or ran into a player.
Ewart fakes to Denson. Eludes the rush, throws, and overthrows everybody. Incomplete. Mark McMillan was the Redskin making the dive for the pass.
See, Greg, go back to that last flag that was thrown. A lot of times the strength coach or an assistant who doesn't have a job to do during the game, he walks up and down the sideline all the time, get back. And you always look at him and go, shut up. I'm going to stand where I want to watch this game. Most of the time they tell you to get back just so the head coach has some room to walk up and down and pace and worry about what's going on.
2nd and 10 for the Dolphins. Denson. Met and pushed back at the 28-yard line. 29-yard line follows forward progress. Sam Shade coming up from his safety position to make the hit.
Sam Shade, number 29, an active safety, what you call a strong safety, comes up, makes a lot of big hits on the running plays. Runs very well, I think, when you watch him, and had a good solid year.
Comes into this game as the Redskins' leading tackler. 3rd down has not been a friend to the Miami Dolphins today. 4 of 13. And Ewart from the shotgun. Has time, throws over the middle. Gadsden is there. Gets a first down and then some. Over the 40, over the 45, and out to the 48-yard line.
Good job by the Miami offensive line. We've been talking about them. Did a good job in the run game, but they gave Damon Ewart plenty of time. He looked to his left, he looked down the field, and all of a sudden, everybody's cleared the area out. Armen Gadsden comes underneath, and look, no defenders inside.
19-yard pickup on the play, and the Dolphins have a first down now at their own 48-yard line. Clock moving up on 2 minutes to play here in the 3rd quarter. Ewart again with time, and now out of the pocket, and is tripped up at the 45-yard line by Mark Boutte, number 93.
You know what, Damon Ewart he's going to take a few sacks. He's definitely going to take more sacks than Dan Marino does. But watch what happens. He looks down the field, nobody's open, avoids the sack, then moves up, loses about a yard. But the one thing he did not do, he did not throw the ball into tight coverage to give the defense a chance for an interception. Sometimes maybe a little too careful with the football, but as time went on, when he had all those starts, he got better and better at deciding when to throw the football away and when to try to scramble.
With 4 wide receivers, Ewart over the middle again, and across midfield with the catch is Kevin McKenzie, the first-year man out of Washington State. Just signed a few days ago off the practice squad.
Kevin McKenzie getting in, looks good too, running. He looks very fast. These guys that have been out all year and haven't been starters, they got those fresh legs, and they are flying around. Good job of catching the football in traffic.
9th play of the drive. Ewart wants to keep it alive. He needs to reach the 42-yard line. We are under a minute to play in the 3rd quarter. Here comes the blitz. Ewart escapes, throws downfield, has a man and overthrew him. Number 86, Armen Gadsden, was free down the sideline.
What a job getting out of trouble, but it's going to be offsides by the Washington Redskins. Mark McMillan on a blitz. Got there a little too early.
Here's Dick Hentek.
21. Yes, Dick. I'm not sure about a lot of things, but this one I know.
21. 21. 21.
Offside. Defense, number 21. Moving into the neutral zone prior to the snap. 3 Repeat the down, third down.
Here he comes, Mark McMillan, number 21. Boy, nice block by Robert Conrad. And Aronde Gadsden gets one hand on it. And Damon Heward, a couple things. He knew he really escaped a lot of danger. Thought he threw the football perfectly, but about just out of the reach of Gadsden.
Third and short yardage. Denson. And he won't get it. Ndukwe Kalu, the third-year man out of Rice.
I'm not a big guy that likes to second-guess play calls, but on third and short, I can tell you I'll never change this. I hate misdirection, slow developing plays on 3rd and 1 yard. You know, the defense, they're gearing up for the run. They're looking for penetration. Makes it very hard for an offense to run a counter play, fake right, go left.
Let's see if they get this snap off before the end of the quarter, and they do not. And with that, the third quarter comes to an end. That's the end of the third quarter with the score. Washington 14 and Miami 3. We'll come back to Landover after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Dan Marino looking on from the sideline. Jimmy Johnson had told us ahead of time that Damon Heward would get some playing time. Marino played the first half. Threw for 118 yards and had one tipped ball intercepted. We start the fourth quarter with a punt. Hutton puts it up. Mitchell going to let it hit. Going to roll toward the end zone, and it won't get there. Did they stop it? They did. They did not.
Wait, are you sure?
Nope. You know what? It's down at the 1.
There we go. You know what happens? These grass fields, the ball lands softly. Nate Jaquette, number 88, gets down, fumbles it. Boy, nice jobs. Hits it back just before it hits the goal line.
Took a divot down there, didn't it?
You know, if you were playing on an AstroTurf field, that thing would have bounced up through the goalpost.
So Rodney Peete will start from the half-yard line. And the first offensive series of the fourth quarter. Pete's going to throw. Out of the backfield is Larry Centers. And Centers close to the 15-yard line, and that'll be a first down. Check in with Armen Keteyian. Armen.
Thanks, Greg. You know, you talk about a success of a football team that gets into the playoffs, and you get a lot of different things. Michael Westbrook said something interesting yesterday. He talked about how this team had become a family for the first time in his 5 years in this city. He said so many times in the locker room there would be backbiting and gossiping. He got here, it was like he could not believe the kind of chemistry or lack of chemistry on this football team. He said this year there's a new spirit, a new honesty, and a new commitment, and it showed up on the field, obviously. Back to you.
Thanks, Armen. On the handoff and back to the line of scrimmage is Skip Hicks. In fact, I believe the exact terminology used by Michael Westbrook was jerk teammates.
Jerk teammates. Well, you know what? When you don't win, Greg, you get a lot of jerk teammates. And people like to speak out, and it's not my fault we're losing. And they start picking sides and trying to find out where they can go to avoid some of the criticism. And when you win, which the Redskins have pretty much been above ground all year. In other words, they've played solid. They've always had a winning record, and it's easier to get along with people when you win.
Pete's going to throw again. Good protection and time, and he overthrew his intended receiver, Steven Alexander.
But so many times, you know, just going back to what Armen says, when you look at players, Michael Westbrook, I see him on TV. I watched him on film the other day. We did Friday morning. But then you go out and watch him in person. Then you get a new perspective what a player really is. When you see him in person, you can see that he's a special wide receiver. He can be a game breaker. He's a guy you can build your offense around.
You saw that cast on his hand. He fractured a bone in his right wrist back in week 9. Didn't keep him from reaching 1,000 yards for the first time in his career. Little pump fake by Peete, throws it down the sideline and cannot connect with James Thrash.
Well, Rodney Peete showing he still has plenty of arm to play in the National Football League. And Norv Turner, you know, you got a starter like Brad Johnson who's playing so well, but Rodney Peete is the absolute perfect backup. A veteran who's done a lot of good things in the league, knows how to play the backup role, helps the starter, doesn't cause any trouble.
Jacket and Buckley deep for the kick from Matt Turk. It's kind of been either chicken or feathers. This one's a little bit of chicken for Turk. And at the 35-yard line, Jacket doesn't get much on the return. Derek Smith with the hit. 53-yard punt and a 3-yard return. We have 13:21 to play. 2 weeks from today, the premiere of an extraordinary new drama about the power of courage and the reward of sacrifice. Blair Underwood and Vivica A. Fox star in City of Angels, premiering 2 weeks from today, right here on CBS. 1st and 10 from their own 35. The Dolphins go back to work. Damon Ewart, play fake. Pressure from behind, gets rid of it, delivers across the 45 to Oronde Gadsden. That'll be enough for a first down. And a good job by Damon Ewart.
Well, they're getting Damon Ewart back in the swing of things. He's back there taking a beating. He's taken some big hits in these last couple series. That'll get you back to remembering what it's like to be a quarterback. And Kennard Lang that time delivered the blow. Look, he looked out in the flat, came to a second receiver. Another good hit.
So the Dolphins quickly out to their own 47. Conrad out of the backfield and is cut down after a pickup of maybe a yard on the play by Mark McMillan. I'd like to clarify something during that timeout. You really had never heard the phrase "it's either chicken or feathers" before.
No, I never have in my life.
It means it's either good or bad.
Yes, I understand that. I do. Since you know, feast or famine, why couldn't you say that? Where'd you grow up?
Born in New Orleans, grew up in Chicago.
Okay. I understand now. I'm glad you educated me with some more info. Maybe I'll use it someday.
You can tell it's a new millennium,
maybe.
Ewart throws the near side, incomplete. Teal Green coming out of his break after the ball had gone by.
Dana Stubblefield that time got some pressure on the quarterback, and how about that? We got a chance to talk to Dana Stubblefield on Friday. Always in good spirits. Comes in, he just makes you smile and feel good when you see him. And he came in, he played out in San Francisco. What did he do when the game was over? Of course, he comes from San Francisco, second year here in Washington. Saw Jerry Rice, says, "I want those shoes you have on. Take them off and sign them." Jerry Rice did.
On 3rd and 8, Ewart pulls it down, takes off, and comes up short of first down yardage at the 45-yard line. Dana Stubblefield was right there.
4th down, looks like Jimmy Johnson's already motioned.
He will go for it, yeah.
Going to go for it.
You know, Dana Stubblefield said one thing he did like, the whole defensive line reported to training camp early this season.
Yeah, just on their own. It wasn't mandatory, anything like that. He says, you know, he likes the atmosphere better for the defense, the players, better chemistry. They have been solid the last few weeks, and they hope to carry that over into the playoffs.
4th and 3. Ewart goes down. Ndukwe Kalu. Washington takes over on downs.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Subway, the way a sandwich should be. SAP, one-step business over the internet. And by Edge Pro Gel. Lose the foam, save your skin.
Phil, there were a couple of things happening on that sack.
Well, watching Ndukwe Kalu, Autry Denson gets him cut. Look at that move. But look what happens. He gets the face mask of Damon Ewart, pulls him down, but nobody sees it. Even when you grab any part of that helmet is considered a face mask. You know, every once in a while you'll see a defender grab the back of the helmet, something like that. That's the same as grabbing that face mask. But what an athletic move by Kalu.
So the Redskins take over, and Miami Dolphins have owned the football, but as far as getting it into the end zone, hasn't happened. Coming this way, being run out of bounds, is number 20, Skip Hicks.
Well, the Dolphins, Greg, as you watch this game, the Redskins have made a lot of substitutions. The Dolphins have made a few, but on defense, they're basically going with the starters. Jimmy Johnson, make them play, get out there, make them get things right.
Feet all wide open is Brian Mitchell. 30, 25, and out of bounds at about the 20-yard line. Zach Thomas went across the field to knock him down.
Good job by Rodney Peete, but what happens is Brian Mitchell sneaks out, 2 receivers to your left, went deep, then Brian Mitchell sneaks out of the backfield, no defenders left, everybody down the field covering the wide receiver. Zach Thomas uses his speed to go all the way across the field and knock Brian Mitchell out of bounds.
These Dolphins are as much at a loss to explain their loss of confidence as anything. This is a team that started the season 7-1.
And built on their defense. The defense played so well.
Mitchell will make it Skip Hicks. 15-10 and down to about the 7-yard line before he's knocked out.
Well, this is just give it to Skip Hicks and see if he can outrun everybody to the corner. And he does an awesome job of doing it. No contained by the Miami Dolphins defense. And the speed of Skip Hicks gets him to the outside for the big gain.
Boy, you'd have to say this Washington ground game is in great shape with Skip Hicks and a healing Stephen Davis coming back.
And you would think, since the Miami has such good speed, you couldn't get to the outside, but Washington has been doing it all day long.
Oh, there's a little mix-up in the backfield.
Well, it's just the product of Rodney Peete just not getting to play enough. Gets in the way of Skip Hicks. That's what he does. Bad footwork by the quarterback. Leaves the running back in that no man's land. He didn't know where to go, so they just ran into each other. Rodney Peete still laughing about it, or smiling about it, not laughing.
Redskins looking to build on a 14-3 lead, coming up on 8.5 to play in the fourth quarter. Nothing there for Hicks. Tim Bowens helping stop up the run.
Greg, you talked about the defense, the Miami Dolphins. When I talked to Zach Thomas, I said, how could a defense, with the talent they have out there on the field, how could you lose confidence in what you do? And we've met basically over the year all these defenders on the Miami's defense, and the one thing they don't lack, or when you talk to them, is confidence is not something they would lack. And what happens is teams start making plays against them. Players now get upset because the other team is making plays, so you start taking chances, and what's that do? That just breaks down your defense completely.
Timeout is called on the field, and it stops the clock with 7:59 to play. The Redskins call the timeout, and they have 2 remaining. And while we have the opportunity, we'll remind you, Saturday on CBS, join Dick Clark for the biggest game show in TV history. From the creator of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, don't miss Winning Lines. Premieres Saturday here on CBS. The long arm of the law.
I thought about that.
What, about saying that?
Yeah.
And decided it was just too corny.
No.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, there's Norv Turner, proud brother of Ron Turner, who was here at the game today, head coach at the University of Illinois.
Yeah, 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, Ron Turner, 0-11. This year, goes to a bowl game, and another big victory.
Complete penalty marker. Terrell Buckley is the man on James Thrash down at the goal line.
Well, Terrell Buckley just gets there way too early.
Interference. Defense number 27. First down.
Watch James Trash. Number 87 stops. Terrell Buckley comes over the top, hits the helmet. Good call.
You know, Phil, if you go back to Jimmy Johnson's message, which is that we don't have much confidence, you have to wonder what the team is going to take away from today. Up the middle is Larry Centers. And Centers is short of the goal line.
You know, Craig, as I see the Miami Dolphins, and we had a couple shots of it before the game started, all the players were inside watching the games, wanted to know what was going on, watching the scoreboard. We know Jimmy Johnson, we've done enough games. He comes out on the field a good 2 hours before the game started. Today we never saw him because everybody was in there wanting to know what's going to happen to our playoff chances. And I don't think they'll be that down about the way they play today. They're just going to feel refreshed because they're in the playoffs.
Hicks, nowhere to go. And is ganged up on at the 4. Number 50, Dwight Hollier, one of the many tacklers in on the play.
Well, anytime you're down near the goal line and you think the other team is going to run the football in, it's just about getting penetration. And look at the Miami Dolphins. All the players in the backfield past the line of scrimmage. No matter how good a running back you are, you can't beat that.
Now it's 3rd and goal from the 4. Deep throws at the goal line. Touchdown. Larry Centers. That is Centers' 3rd touchdown receiving on the season. Conway's kick is good, and with 6:25 to play here in regulation, it's all Washington. Let's go 47 yards in 8 plays, and Larry Centers on the receiving end of the 4-yard touchdown pass from Rodney Peete, who is 6 of 9 for 99 yards and 2 touchdowns. Denson and Marion, and Brock Marion is not going to run it out of the end zone. So it'll be 1st down and 20 for Miami.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Power Bar, Don't Balk, and by RCA, changing entertainment again at RCA.com.
Back at FedEx Field, let's go down to Armen Keteyian. Armen.
Thanks. Well, Greg, you were talking about Ron Turner, and that found him on the sidelines, a head coach, football coach at the University of Illinois, Norv's brother. 21 points on the board here. You put 63 up in the playoff game against Virginia, the bowl game. Great job. What do you think of your brother's work so far?
Well, they look good. 21-3 right now. That looks pretty good, and it's good to get some momentum going into the playoffs next week.
Now, offense, obviously, with these 2 brothers, did it run in the family? How did this happen?
Well, I think so. I think we both played offense when we were in college and everything, but the main thing is I think offense is more fun.
All right, thanks, Ron. Congratulations. Great win. Thank you. Greg.
All right, Armen, the pass to Conrad out of the backfield. Nets about a 10-yard gain. It looks to be enough for a 1st down for the Miami Dolphins. Can you imagine those Stratomatic football games between Ron and Norv Turner as they were growing up? All offense, no defense.
Well, it's the way it's supposed to be. I don't know if a lot of defenders would agree with that. Offense is more fun, but look at some of the scores.
Throws to Conrad again. Conrad gets about another 5 before he's knocked out at the 35 by Sean Barber. And the Dolphins are going without a huddle as the clock continues to move, coming up on 5.5 minutes to play here in the 4th quarter. Throws over the middle this time, complete to Gadsden across the 45, and that'll be another 1st down for the Dolphins.
Well, the one thing this is doing, it's creating a scenario where Damon Hewitt's getting a lot of looks and a lot of throws, and I think the main reason you play this second half, the Dolphins, you put Damon Hewitt in, you want to get him ready in case you decide to play him next week.
Hewitt steps up, now throws, tipped, incomplete, and almost intercepted by Barber.
I'll tell you, too, I've been impressed with the Redskins defense. They haven't, like, overpowered Miami's offense, but all the players are in position. There's been really no chances of big plays by the Miami offense. And, again, when you got an offense that can score points, your job as a defensive coordinator, there's Mike Nolan, defensive coordinator, don't give up those big plays. Make the other team see if they can drive at 10, 15 plays and score a touchdown.
On 2nd and 10. The pass incomplete for Gadsden, who made the dive for it. Well, North Turner said he thought that we improved our run defense the last several games. Then he felt they took a step backward against San Francisco last Sunday night.
Yeah, they did. You know, the San Francisco did a couple things. They spread them out all over the field. And then when you do that, and they had success throwing the football, your defensive linemen start thinking, well, we got to pressure the quarterback. Then when you start thinking that, you get up the field, you create tremendous running lanes for running backs, and then San Francisco just took advantage of that.
Ewart, 10 of 18 for 104 yards. Pulls it down, flips it out of the backfield. Pritchett. And Pritchett, out of bounds, appears to have enough for a first down. Well, just so we clarify things, there is no question in your mind, nor do I think Jimmy Johnson's mind, that Dan Marino is going to start the playoff game next week. However, Damon Huard is reassuring Jimmy Johnson that should he decide to make a change at some point in that game, he's ready to go.
Well, let's look at the stats. Greg, here's what I think it'll come down to. When they get in that game next week, and it gets to a point where Jimmy Johnson says, I don't think we can win the game anymore with Dan Marino quarterback. If that situation did arise, then he would bring in Damon Huard.
You saw Marino's numbers.
Now, I had a chance to watch a little bit of Seattle play today. Now, of course, they're going to be a lot tougher in a playoff atmosphere in the Kingdome, at home, the crowd, all of that. But the New York Jets, hey, Miami's going to watch the film and say, look, we should be able to do some things offensively because the Jets went up and down the field the whole game against Seattle's defense.
2nd and 7, the handoff to Pritchett. And Pritchett barrels across the 30 to about the 27-yard line, and that's another first down for Miami. Clock continues to move, coming up on 4.5 to play. Huard throws down the sideline, incomplete. That'll stop the clock at 4:16.
You know, this is not something you see too often in the NFL anymore. As you watch Miami run this 2-minute offense against Washington's defense, nowadays, the defense, no matter what the situation is, they don't sit back and just kind of make you make the plays. They'll take a couple of chances along the line and blitz you, give you some different looks, make you either make the play or make you turn it over.
You know, it's not surprising that Oronde Gadsden was the last man back to the huddle. I think he's been deep on every pass pattern down the field so far. Huard with time, throws incomplete. Nice defensive job by Sam Shade.
Boy, excellent job. Safety inside, has to cover a receiver if he goes across the field, up the field. Now that time, I couldn't see who the receiver. Yatil Green comes across the field, stops, breaks back out. You can see at the bottom of your screen. Good positioning, good technique by Sam Shade. Look at that. The left hand stays off the body of the receiver, makes the play with his right hand.
This is a 3rd and 10. And before the snap, the flag flies. And we've got a false start, it would appear.
False start. Offense number 66. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Kevin Gogan, the guilty party, and that's now 88 yards worth of penalties assessed against the Dolphins here today.
Well, the Washington Redskins, Greg, as we talked about Miami and their chances, or what they're thinking going to the playoffs, the Redskins, they got to feel good. Jimmy Johnson says he wants his team to get some confidence. Well, I think the Redskins are going into their playoff game next week with plenty of confidence and reinforcement that they are a good football team.
Pritchett from 20, the 15-yard line, and should have enough for a first down.
I look at this Redskin team, of course you have to first, you look at their offense. It's dynamic. It can overpower you. They can finesse you, throw it down the field. The quarterback, I think that's a tremendous plus they got going into the playoffs. Brad Johnson, solid year, started all 16 games, throws the ball with great touch, accuracy, moves around.
So first down from the 16-yard line. Ewart throws over the middle. Conrad inside the 15 to the 12. Take this into consideration too. The Redskins play this game today without their other fine receiver, Albert Connell, out with a shoulder injury, and Stephen Davis.
It's not bad. Well, Skip Hicks, I'd say he had a pretty solid day the last couple of weeks. And then you lose Connell, you bring in Irving Fryer.
Conrad again, and Conrad out of bounds at about the 8-yard line. And appears to be about a yard shy of a first down.
The Redskins, one of the teams fortunate, the salary cap, able to bring in a veteran receiver like Irving Fryer, where a lot of teams, they can never even think of doing that because they have no money and they're so squeezed tight and all these things. They got to go find some receivers, not even on a football team. Somebody pick them up, bring them in, and just hope that they can make a few plays.
What did North Turner tell us Friday? They have 3 number 1s in the next draft? 3rd and 2, handoff. Pritchett straight ahead inside the 5, and it'll be 1st and goal. 3.5 to play here in the 4th.
Good looking drive by the Miami Dolphins. I know it's late in the game and it probably doesn't mean anything. Well, go tell Damon Heward that and some of the players on the field. Keep trying to make plays because this situation could arise for you again next week.
Heward with time, fires into the end zone for a touchdown. Armen Gadsden.
One thing I've noticed this year as the year went along, we watched Damon Heward play so much, his arms seemed to get stronger as the year went along. He got more comfortable getting his feet underneath him. Look at him, he kind of gets down and he just lets this one go. Armen Gadsden, there was a small window to throw that football, and Damon Heward puts it right on the money.
Olindo Mare on for the extra point. And it's good. So with 3:09 to play here in regulation, the Dolphins have closed now to 21-10. And for those of you expecting to see 60 minutes, you are watching the NFL on CBS in the game between the Miami Dolphins and Washington Redskins. Greg Gumbel along with Phil Simms and Armen Keteyian. Our score here, Washington 21 and Miami 10. 60 minutes will be seen in its entirety immediately following this game, except on the West Coast. And what just happened moments ago, that touchdown pass from Damon Heward to Armen Gadsden.
That was pretty. Good camera shot. See what it looks like that time. Armen Gadsden, he had a clear view of the quarterback. You can see the football coming all the way. Greg, you're right.
Armen is going to sleep really well tonight.
He must have ran down the field about 20 times that time looking for the deep ball, and finally, hey, all that hard work pays off. 9 catches,
114 yards.
It's a touchdown throw, or a touchdown catch.
Meanwhile, it's all smiles on the winner's side of the field.
Greg, we talk so much about everything in this game today, but the Redskins and their defense, look at their defense. You got Darrell Green and Champ Bailey at corner. You got Dana Stubblefield and Wilkinson inside. Those are pretty good tackles and should be productive. Marco Coleman, a good defensive end. Young, fast linebackers, and looked organized, in place today, and they have been a little steady the last few weeks. They can get hot too. Offense is not the only things that get hot. Sometimes the defense can get that fever figured out and get things working.
Let's see if Olindo Mare kicks this one onside or if he kicks it deep. Onside kick. Loose ball at about the 47-yard line. The Redskins say they have fallen on it. And they have.
You know, the Dolphins onside kick differently than everybody else. Armen Gadsden has learned this technique to go up there full speed and make it look like he's kicking it away, but he actually hits the top of the ball and drives it right down into the turf. It makes it go straight up. Watch this. You can't tell it's an onside kick. Look at that. Kicks the top of the ball and went straight up. The Redskins, they're not even in position to make the catch.
And Irving Fryer is the man who finished on the ball.
That is really a great technique. I wonder if more kickers have tried it, just can't do it.
Casey Weldon has come on at quarterback, the 8th-year man out of Florida State. And Skip Hicks slips and falls at the 46-yard line. By the way, we might as well mention that modern-day miracle who plays cornerback for the Washington Redskins, Darrell Green, who made his 117th straight start. He's played more games in Redskins history than any other player. This is number 250, and it's his 3rd decade. He played in the 80s and the 90s and in the double O's.
Wow, that's great. We didn't get a chance to talk about him today. But Darrell Green does not plan on returning after the season's over.
Hicks, left side. Brought down at about the 42-yard line by Sean Woody. And that appears it will take us to the 2-minute warning. Dan Marino looking ahead to a playoff matchup against the Seattle Seahawks next weekend. His numbers in the first half come to the 2-minute warning here at FedEx Field. 21-10, Washington. Coming up on CBS once we wind down, 60 minutes, followed by an all-new Touched by an Angel, and then go beyond the prairie for the true story of Laura Ingalls Wilder. That's tonight here on CBS. 3rd down for the Redskins. Casey Weldon needs to reach the 36-yard line. The pitch to Hicks. Cuts it back. Will get to the 40 and no more. So as we look ahead to postseason play beginning next weekend, the Miami Dolphins travel to Seattle. Buffalo will open at Tennessee, while Indianapolis and Jacksonville stay home and watch and wait.
Well, you know what I want to know, don't you? Where are we going to be? Which game are we going to get to do in the playoffs?
You know, you told me you would be more patient in the new year.
I am patient.
That's right out the door.
I waited. There's a minute 50 to go.
And you're waiting for a phone call.
Which I won't receive.
Damon Heward has thrown the ball well here in the second half.
Yes, he has. You know, I think really that's the one thing that I have noticed in Damon Heward this year, from the time I saw him the first game up in New England early in the year to now that he's become a much better thrower of the football, more direct, has better control of it, and seems to be able to throw it a little harder than he did early in the year.
That Turk set to kick it to Terrell Buckley. Angles for the sideline that bounces it into the end zone. So the 40-yard punt with a minute 44 to play. And there is no question Dan Marino will be the starting quarterback at Seattle for the Miami Dolphins next week. And of course, the questions will come up again this week. Will this now, the game at Seattle, be Dan Marino's final go-round in the NFL? Look at his numbers on the day. Heward has the touchdown pass, the tipped pass by Marino. Marino also had 4 passes batted down or blocked at the line of scrimmage. Each team with 2 timeouts remaining. Heward pulls it down and now throws Conrad out of the backfield. 25, pulls his way across the 30 to about the 31-yard line. And again, the Dolphins will go without a huddle.
Well, Robert Conrad, he has caught the ball well today. A couple tough catches over the middle. Knew he was going to take big hits. Still held on to the ball.
Conrad, 10 catches for 67 yards. Heward throws. This is Pritchett out of the backfield. Loses his footing and is down at the 35. A little picture-taking action on the sideline.
Oh, I love it. During the game, that's it. Look at them. Posing, too. Well, they should. I tell you, the offensive line, they have a lot to be proud of here. Anytime you have a quarterback, Brad Johnson going to a Pro Bowl, running backs having good years.
Stephen Davis going to the Pro Bowl.
Yep, Stephen Davis.
Trey Johnson named to his first Pro Bowl. Coming up next, except on the West Coast, is 60 Minutes. And included in that 60 Minutes, Mike Wallace talks with Bill Parcells, who, you know, we talk about the fact that he's a good coach, but look at what the New York Jets accomplished the second half of this football season.
Yeah, they ruined the season for quite a few teams down the stretch. The Miami Dolphins, they beat them twice. Started that run on a Monday night game up in New England.
Pass is picked off and brought back to about the 45-yard line by Darryl Pounds.
Well, that time, what happened? Watch Armen Gadsden, number 86 outside. A double move, nice move, but right here. He just kind of slows up. He cannot run anymore. You see him grab his side, and Darryl Pounds makes the interception. And you're right, Armen Gadsden still trying to get off the field. And we made a little fun of it the series before. He has run down the field so many times that I think he just developed a cramp.
And as you see, he is now just crossing the sideline at the 30. And with 53 seconds to play, Casey Weldon will take a knee, and he'll do that once more, and this game will be over. And Norv Turner, that must be just raining over on his part of the sideline.
Good for him. You know, look, it's been a tough time for him here, but he finally gets the Redskins to the playoffs. Enjoys a solid year, and
with their full complement of players, figure to cause some trouble in the NFC playoffs. Time will wind down on this matchup between the Miami Dolphins and the Washington Redskins. Norv Turner, in his first meeting with Jimmy Johnson, comes out the winner. The Dallas Cowboys have won their battle against the New York Giants. So the Dallas Cowboys are in the postseason. You're wondering where we're going, Phil. You and I will be in Seattle. 4 o'clock Eastern time will be the kickoff between Seattle, Dan Marino, and the Miami Dolphins. Once again, our final score here. Washington 21 and Miami 10. Coming up next on CBS, except in the Pacific time zone. Stay tuned for another fascinating 60 minutes. For Phil Simms, Armen Keteyian, and our entire CBS Sports crew, I'm Greg Gumbel saying so long from FedEx Field in Landover. You've been watching the NFL on CBS.